They overlooked you because they couldn't see your vision. Now let your results be the response they never saw coming. Let's get straight to it. They didn't believe in you. They overlooked you. They counted you out. They laughed when you said what you were going to do. They ignored your name. They minimized your voice. They slept on you. And now you've got a decision to make. You can keep complaining, keep crying, keep replaying the disrespect in your head. Or you can use it. You can use the doubt. Use the rejection. Use the silence. Use the dismissal. Fuel it. Flip it. Feed off it. Because here's what most people don't understand. Being slept on is not a curse. It's a gift. When they don't see you coming, you get to build in peace. You get to train in silence. You get to fail without the spotlight, rise without distraction, and become without pressure. They slept on you. Good. Let them rest. Let them stay comfortable while you get to work. Because nothing wakes up a sleeping world faster than success you didn't ask permission for. See, everybody loves the finished product. They clap for the breakthrough. They post about the highlight reel. But they weren't there for the late nights. They didn't see you breaking down and still showing up. They didn't see the pain you swallowed just to keep going. They didn't see you grinding in the dark. But you were there. God was there. And that's enough. And now you owe it to yourself to rise, to level up, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Let me say that again. This journey isn't about revenge. This journey is about redemption. It's about looking at the younger version of you, the one who kept getting overlooked, and saying, "We made it anyway." Because here's the truth. They slept on you because they couldn't see past your struggle. They didn't see the fire under your frustration. They didn't see the blueprint you were drawing while they were busy doubting. And maybe that's exactly how it was supposed to go. Because if they had supported you too soon, you might have gotten comfortable. If they had clapped too early, you might have stopped climbing. If they had believed in you before you believed in yourself, you might have stayed dependent on their validation. But now you're dangerous. Because you've built it alone. Because you've cried and still created. Because you've taken every no, every side eye, every laugh behind your back, and turned it into hunger. And hunger beats hype every time. You don't need their applause. You need your focus. You don't need their approval. You need your consistency. You don't need their permission. You need your discipline. Because while they slept, you suffered, you stretched, you sacrificed. And now it's time to show them what silence can produce. Not with arrogance, not with noise, but with results so undeniable, they'll have to admit. They were wrong. Let me ask you something real. What are you going to do with all that doubt they gave you? You going to let it sit in your chest like poison? Or are you going to turn it into power? Because every laugh, every time they looked past you, every time they skipped your name, ignored your effort, or clapped louder for someone less committed, that's energy now. That's fuel. You don't need revenge. You need results. You need focus so sharp it cuts through their expectations. And don't you dare shrink because they never saw your worth. That's not your failure. That's their limitation. They didn't see you because they weren't meant to see you. Your glow wasn't for them. Your vision wasn't theirs to validate. You ever wonder why God let them walk? Why they didn't support you? Why they overlooked you when you needed it most? Because God wanted you to learn how to walk alone before you could lead others. He wanted to strengthen you in private before he released you in public. He wanted you to understand that the fire in your belly was more important than followers on your timeline. And now you've got no more excuses. Now it's time to lock in. Now it's time to build what they thought you'd never have. Now it's time to silence the doubt, not with words, but with work. And don't be shocked when they come back around, because they always do. When the numbers rise, when the brand grows, when the light turns on, they'll show up asking, "How'd you do it?" You want to know how? You did it in the silence. You did it when no one was watching. You did it when your hands were trembling and your voice was cracking. But you kept going. You didn't get bitter. You got better. You didn't start fights. You started building. You didn't scream at the door that closed. You built one of your own and walked through it with your head up. And listen to me. This is just the beginning. Don't get soft now. Don't start explaining yourself. Don't start apologizing for your power. Because the same people who slept on you will try to act like they always believed. They'll say, "I always knew you had it." They'll smile and repost and pretend they were there from day one. Let them talk. You don't need to correct the record. Your life is the proof. Your consistency is the evidence. Your success is the loudest response you'll ever give. And remember, this isn't about ego. This is about justice. This is about finishing what they said you never could. This is about legacy. This is about keeping the promise you made to yourself the moment they said, "You're not enough." Let me talk to the part of you that's tired. Tired of being overlooked. Tired of giving more than you receive. Tired of showing up for people who disappear when it's your turn. I know you've questioned yourself, wondered if maybe they were right. Maybe you weren't good enough. Maybe you weren't talented enough. Maybe you were asking for too much, dreaming too big, moving too fast. Let me stop you right there. You weren't asking for too much. They were thinking too small. You weren't moving too fast. They were standing still. You weren't dreaming too big. They were afraid of your boldness. Because people fear what they don't understand. They mock what they can't control. And they sleep on what they're not ready to recognize. But just because they don't see your greatness doesn't mean it isn't there. Just because they can't comprehend your vision doesn't mean it's not valid. Just because they slept on you doesn't mean you stop showing up. You keep showing up. Every day, every hour, every representative, every call, every decision. You keep building like your life depends on it. Because it does. You don't need applause to be consistent. You don't need validation to have value. You don't need fans to move forward. Because let me tell you something about greatness. Greatness isn't loud. Greatness isn't flashy. Greatness is consistent, silent, surgical. It grows in dark rooms. It sharpens in rejection. It's born in disappointment. And by the time the world finally sees it, it's already unstoppable. So let them sleep. Let them count you out. Let them underestimate you. They don't know what's coming. They don't see the hours you're putting in. They don't feel the fire you've been carrying. They don't hear the conversations you've been having with God at 3 a.m. But soon, they will. And when they do, it won't be loud. It won't be dramatic. It'll be quiet. It'll be powerful. It'll be undeniable. You'll walk into the room they locked you out of, and they won't recognize you. You'll speak with authority. They tried to silence, and they won't know what hit them. You'll build the table they refused to invite you to, and they'll be asking for a seat. But by then, you won't need their table. You'll have your own, because you didn't come this far to prove them wrong. You came this far to prove yourself right, to honor the vision that wouldn't let you sleep, to become the person the old you would be proud of. You know what the most dangerous person in the world is? It's not the loudest in the room. It's not the one with the biggest following or the most hype. It's the one who was counted out and kept going. It's the one they ignored who kept building in silence. It's the one who learned how to rise without applause. Because that person, they're not driven by attention. They're driven by vision. They don't move for likes. They move for legacy. And that's you. You're not here to prove a point for a few seconds of clapping. You're here to build something so solid, so undeniable, so impactful. That history rewrites itself just to make room for your name. They thought they buried you, but what they didn't realize, you were a seed. They thought their silence would kill your voice. They thought their absence would break your drive. They thought your pain would stop your progress. But they were wrong, because all they really did was give you space to grow roots, to grow thick skin, to grow unshakable self-belief. And now you're no longer chasing validation. Now you're no longer begging to be seen. Now you're too focused on becoming. Let them stay asleep. Let them keep watching reruns of who you used to be. Because when you rise, it won't be to match their expectations. It'll be to surpass them. And let me speak to that small voice in your head right now. The one that still doubts. The one that says, what if I fail again? What if it doesn't work? What if they're right? Let me answer that for you. So what? So what if you fail? So what if you stumble? So what if it takes longer than you thought? They already slept on you. They already dismissed you. They already said it couldn't be done. So why would you live your life trying not to disappoint people who already stopped believing in you? You don't owe them safety. You owe yourself freedom. And freedom comes when you stop explaining your vision to people who don't have the eyes to see it. Freedom comes when you stop looking for applause and start chasing alignment. Freedom comes when you stop waiting for the world to wake up and start moving like you never needed them to. Because let's be real, you've done the work. You've put in the hours. You've cried, sacrificed, failed, gotten back up, and kept showing up. Now it's time. Time to break through. Time to walk into the life they said you'd never have. Time to stop shrinking and start showing. Not with noise, but with action. Not with bitterness, but with excellence. Not with ego, but with undeniable results. Because they may have slept on you, but they're about to wake up to something they can't ignore. You ever think about what would have happened if you listened to them? If you took their silence as truth? If you believed their doubt more than your destiny? If you let their opinion weigh more than your purpose? If you stayed small to make others feel big? If you dimmed your light just because they couldn't handle the glare? If you chose comfort over calling? If you played it safe just to fit in with the people who never saw you in the first place? Where would you be right now? Still stuck in circles that go nowhere. Still hiding behind potential and calling it humility. Still apologizing for wanting more, as if ambition is a crime. Still waiting for permission that was never coming, because it was never theirs to give. But you didn't. You didn't listen. You didn't give in. You didn't shrink. You kept going. And that's why this message is yours. That's why this moment belongs to you. Not because it was handed to you, but because you earned it. Because when everyone else stayed sleeping, you stayed working. Because you're the one who kept showing up with no praise. The one who carried the weight in silence. The one who had to clap for themselves because no one else was there to do it. The one who kept sowing seeds while everyone else scrolled past, laughed, or doubted. You're the one who endured the pain of being overlooked, but used it as preparation, not punishment. And now you move different. Now your voice doesn't ask for space, it creates it. Now your presence speaks before you open your mouth. Now your name carries meaning, not because they finally respect you, but because you respected yourself long before they ever showed up. They said you weren't enough. You became more. They said you didn't belong. You built your own place. They said you'd never make it. Now they've got no choice but to watch you thrive, while sitting in the same seats where they laughed, doubted, or disappeared. But listen to me. Lean in real close. This part right here, this next chapter, it's not about making them regret it. It's not about showing off. It's not about flexing. It's about never regretting that you believed in yourself. Because regret doesn't come from failing. Regret comes from holding back. Regret comes from staying silent when your soul was ready to roar. Regret comes from shrinking to fit into a world that was never built for your size. If you keep chasing revenge, you'll miss your revelation. If you stay bitter, you'll block your blessing. If you let their voice be louder than your vision, you'll start shrinking again. And you've come too far, been through too much, sacrificed too long to go back to being small. So forget proving them wrong. Forget showing them what they missed. Just live so right that they no longer matter. Because you were never here to please them. You were here to fulfill something bigger than their opinions. Live full, live loud, live focused, live free. Live with conviction, not apology. Live with purpose, not permission. Live like the future depends on it, because it does. And don't do it to flex. Do it to fulfill. Do it because you owe it to the younger version of yourself who believed when no one else did. Do it because your legacy deserves it. Do it because you're tired of watching potential sit on the shelf like it's not ready to dominate. Because at the end of this life, you don't want to be the one who played it safe. You don't want to be the one who stayed quiet so no one would get uncomfortable. You don't want to be the one who stayed small, stayed average, stayed asleep. You want to be the one who shook the room. The one who made noise with action, not attitude. The one who turned every "you can't" into "I did." The one who turned every whisper of doubt into a wall of discipline. The one who turned every "they slept on me" into "now they study me." So take a breath, stand tall, dust off what they tried to bury, and get back to work. Because the world may have slept on you. But now it's your time. Now it's time to wake them up. Wake them up with clarity. Wake them up with precision. Wake them up with work that speaks so loud, you don't even need to say a word. No need to shout. No need to scream. No need to clap back. Just move like the storm you are. And let your success be the thunder they can't ignore. If you made it this far, drop 100 in the comments so I know you're part of the 1% who's serious.